Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do what is called a churn dash block. It is using both the strips that we have already done and the half square triangles, and then just one solid block in the middle. So I went to Walmart. I usually go after the sales, and I got after the holidays. And I get the fabric on sale from each holiday because it's usually marked down the day after or so. So I got this for half off. And we're going to make our churn dash block. We're going to pick two of those fabrics, which I have actually already done. I got a couple of them, so I already opened one and ironed it. Excuse me. So we're going to go ahead, and I think I'm going to do this one, the green one, as the main color, and this one as the accent, which just means I'm going to use the green one in the middle of the block. And this one's going to be the other parts of it. So we're going to go ahead and get it cut out. I'm going to move things around here and get my spot situated, and I'll be right back. All right, so I've got this ironed out and laid out, and I moved things around. So I've laid my strips, I've laid my fat quarters just on over top of each other, and then I am just actually going to lay them off the side here, and I'm just gonna line up this top. You can't really see that. Let me move it over just a hair. So I'm gonna line up this top one, this line right there, just any line on there, and I want that to be even, and then I'm gonna just cut down to give myself a straight line, starting with both of them. All right, we'll lay that to the side. And then we're going to do 2.5 inch strips. And we just need one strip of each fabric. So since I have them layered, I'm going to turn this around. And this is a 3.5 inch ruler. So I'm going to line up the 3.5 line on the edge of the fabric here, which is right there. And then I'll move down here, and I lined that. This was my straight edge, remember. This is the one I lined up first to even out my line over here. So I'm going to hold that down. Actually going to come over here. And we're going to cut our strips. Well, I really need to change that blade. I apologize that I haven't done it yet. Okay, so there's our strips. So then we are going to need the blocks to make our half square triangles. So we're actually going to cut this a little bit bigger because I want to cut it bigger and then trim it down to size after the half square triangles are sewn. So we're going to do those 6 inches. This time I'm going to use the mat to measure it out. So we're going to line that up right there along that edge. And then I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to line it up right here. And I'm cutting this a great deal bigger than I need it, but I would rather have it too big and trim it down than not big enough and have to redo it. All right, cut a little wrong there, but that's okay. Sorry for the interruption there. I had a call coming in and I had to take it. So then we're going to cut these into, we're going to need 2 of each 6 inch squares. So we're going to just line it up there, line it up on the side of your cutting mat, unless you have a 6 inch ruler, you could just use that, or a bigger one that has 6 inches across. There's one. These little frays won't matter. I realize I cut it a little off, but it won't hurt it. And there's 2. All right, so we're going to take these. We're going to do some sewing now. We're going to take these and fold them over. And if you watched my half square triangle video, you'll know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take this ruler and we're just going to draw down. We're going to line it up. We're going to do it this way. We're going to line up this yellow line. I'm sorry, this is a 1/4 inch seam allowance ruler. It's from Omni-Grid, and I actually got mine at Joann's. It was a 3-pack. This is the longest one. It came with the shorter one, and there's a medium one in between there. I'm not sure where it's at in this station I have set up here, but I don't need it. So we're going to take the pin, and I use the friction pin, and we're just going to draw down on both sides of this ruler. And these lines that we're drawing will be the lines that we sew on. Okay. Well, it didn't come out very well. Let's do it again. All right, and I'm going to throw a couple pins in either side of this so it doesn't move. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing with this one. Just flip it over. Same thing. We're going to take it and line this up on the corner of the white one, the top one. I always do the lighter one because I can see the line better on it. But if you want to draw it on your dark ones, I don't know how the ink will come off of the dark one. I've never actually used it on dark fabrics, so be wary. But even if, I've heard that it comes back if it gets cold, but even if it does, I never draw on any of the parts that are going to be seen anyway, so it wouldn't really affect me, but just be wary of it. All right, there's those 2. And then this, we are just going to take it and lay right sides together, and we are just going to sew right down it, and we're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance on this. So I'm going to take these to the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch them up just like we said, and then I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I have done all that stitching. Get my smaller mat here. I'm going to take these pins out. Actually, we're going to cut it first. So if you haven't watched the half square triangle video, you then just take this that you just sewn. And then you're going to take your ruler. I'm going to move that out of the way. We're done with it now. And you will lay it on the corner to corner. And if you've done it right, I'm sorry, I was off screen. You're going to lay it from corner to corner. And if you've done it right, your 1/4 inch line there will line up straight across your stitches, or at least close to it. And if it's close enough, I wouldn't redo it. I did that again. Look at that. Same thing on this one. Line up your corner of your white piece, or your top piece rather. And then we're going to press firmly. And you have 2. So then let me show you. You will just set the seam, and then we're going to actually iron it to the dark side because I don't want it to show. And there you have a half square triangle. We're just going to set the seam and press them all open. And I see this, but we're going to trim that off because we made our block bigger than what we needed, remember? So, because then if you mess up or you cut a little wrong, you have extra to work with. I'm going to show you how to trim those down, so even if you didn't watch the other video, this one stands alone. All right, we'll trim those in a minute. Now we're going to take our strip, and we're going to set the seam on it. Then we will press it open. All right, so before we trim our triangles, we're actually going to cut our squares out of this. So this is measuring at 4.5 inches, which is what we wanted. So we're going to take, I'm going to use this time, and we're going to line this. I'm going to actually do it up a little further because it's easier to line this line up rather than the edge of the ruler, because I can see that line across it all a lot easier. So we're going to line that up, and we are going to trim off this excess. Then we will flip it around, and we're going to need 4.5 inch squares. And hopefully this is enough and I don't have to cut any more strips, but I might not have enough. So to do that, I just took the 4.5 inch line of both, and I lined the corner of them up on the bottom here, and then I just turned it until this line was even and this line was even. And then we just cut across. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to sew a couple more strips. Maybe. Nope, I have it. Yay. All right. Perfect. I love it when a good plan comes together. All right. So we have those. Now we're going to trim these also down to 4.5 because we want everything to be the same size. So what we'll do here is, excuse me, at first I will take this middle line, the diagonal one, and line it up across the top, or the seam line. Now I actually take it up as far as it'll go, and I want as much left here as possible. Now I will trim off the parts I kind of butchered when I was cutting it. And then you'll flip it around, and then you will line up the 4.5 inch corner down here at the bottom, just like we did with the strips. So you line up the 4.5 there, make sure it's straight up there and straight down there, and then we will trim this off. And see, I could have cut it smaller, and I knew I could have. I was going to do 5 inches, but I didn't want to cut it too close. And there we have that. So we're just going to do that to all of them. And see there how, like I said, I knew I cut it wrong. But we're just going to line up that diagonal. And trim it. And then flip it around. then we line up the bottom, 4.5, line up the diagonal, and then it should line up all your other pieces. Should just fall right into place. Actually, these pieces I will save for my scrap quilt. These I will save for the inside of my pillow. I don't know if you watched any of the other videos, but I always save these scraps, and then when I get enough of them, I make a pillow and I stuff it. All right, we're going to start here. We're going to go as far up as we can. Trim off the edge. Oh, it slipped on me. There we go. Now, since that slipped on me, I just want to make sure. And we're good there, so we'll flip it around. And do the 4.5 on the corner. I noticed that was a little off, so I cut a little different, and see how I can cut this off then too. There. All right, so one more and we can move on. I'm sorry if all this cutting is boring to you. Feel free to skip ahead. I won't be mad. All right, line up the diagonal. Trim off the crumbs. Spin it around. I know this may look like wasting fabric, but I promise you it's not, because I will use this on my crumb quilt. I have a video for that also, if you're interested in that sort of thing. But it will get used, I promise. All right, so then we need our middle block. Now, we cut this. This was the extra from our strip. If you remember, we only cut 2 out of this. So I'm going to take this. We only cut 2 sets, and that's what made our half square triangles. So I'm going to take this, and I am just going to trim up the corners just to make it even. Mainly because I don't remember which side was the one I cut from, and it's been moved around. So if you've moved it around, you really do want to make it redo it, so it's, you know which side you're working with. So then I cut these 2 sides, and then I flipped it. So then I'm going to turn it, and again I'm going to line up the 4.5 on both sides, and then we will just cut it. And you really only had to do this with one of them. I just want to show you both ways. I'm sorry, I say way too much, but that's just who I am. So there you go. I wanted to show you both ways. So you could do it with this in the middle, which would make it look like this. And then you'll do these, not like that. You'll do these like that. Silly. Yeah, that's right. So you could make it look like that, or you could do it with this one, and we could turn these all around, and it could look like that. I think I laid that first one out the wrong time, or the wrong way. It could look like this, which is what I'm going to do. Or it could look like this and we turn all these. And it would look like this. Sorry about that. I knew I laid that out wrong. But actually, I like that too. Now I don't know which to do, you guys. What should I do? Like, you can answer me. I'm going to do it this way. So we're going to take this one out. We don't need it. Lay it to the side. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take and sew our individual rows together. So I'm going to fold this over, and this over, and this over. And I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew a straight line. I'm going to chain piece it. I'm going to sew this together, then this, and I'm not going to cut the thread. And then I'll be back and show you the next step. All right, I've done that. And now if I didn't mention it or you're unaware, we will be using a 1/4 inch seam allowance anytime we're sewing with these quilt blocks, unless I state otherwise. So, oh look, I didn't press that. So we're just going to set the seam on these and fold them open. And now I'm going to fold it open to the side that it wants to go to, really. So like if you lay it down, see how that leans to this side? We're going to go ahead and press it to this side. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So that's not the right way. Look at me confusing everybody. And then we'll just let it go there. And the beautiful thing about this block is, look, you don't have any seams really to match up. So it really is, until you get down to putting your rows together, you really don't have any way to mess up. Like, it's just great. We're going to do this one this way because this is the darker one. All right, so I press those. Now we're going to lay them back out where they were, which is right there like that. Now, if you get confused by that, and I realize I did a little bit at the beginning also, snap a picture of it, and then you won't have to worry about remembering what goes where. So now we're going to just do the same thing again. We're going to fold this over, and we're going to sew down, and this will finish our rows. So we're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'll be right back then. All right, I've done that. We're going to trim them apart. Chain piecing really helps save on the thread. That's where I started it though. Grab our little pressing mat. And again, we're going to go same way we did the first time. Press them to the way they want to lay. All right, lay them back out. And there, see that the block is coming together. So then we are going to sew this to this. Now on this one, oh look, we're gonna have to redo this one. I do this every time, but we're just gonna have to press the seam to the middle. And the only reason for that is then your seams will nestle together when you're hooking your rows together. Not a big mess up. It's a fixable one. See, now they go separate ways now there. My lighting's not very great. I'm going to have to work on a new lighting system. So then we are going to pin those together. You can feel in there when they lock together. I couldn't at first. Honestly, when I was watching videos and I would hear somebody say that, and I'm like, I don't feel it. But that was just because mine weren't locking together. Once they started clicking, it was good. I was feeling it. All right. So we pin that all the way down. You don't have to pin it. I'm more confident pinning it. So I'm going to 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way down, and then I'll be back and we'll pin the other one and go from there. All right. Here we are. We're in the home stretch. I'm going to go ahead and cut these threads off. I try to trim them off as I go when I see them, because I don't want to have to sit and trim them all off at the end. All right. We're going to fold it open. And these actually matched up pretty good. Nothing I'm going to complain about. Actually, they're really good. I'm pretty impressed, you guys. I shouldn't speak too soon, though, because the other ones might not. So then we're just going to do the same thing. We already turned the pressing, so we're just going to pin it right there after we've nestled them together. Pin at the end so it doesn't get curved in the beginning. Nestle them together. And then I will pin in the middle and pin at the end. And I'm going to go stitch this up, and I'll be right back and we'll see how it looks. All right. Thanks for waiting. We're back. I had a minor disagreement with the sewing machine. My bobbin jammed. That took me a little bit longer. Of course, you guys don't know that because you weren't here. It just happened for you guys. All right. It's still lined up pretty good, you guys. I think this might be my best block yet. All right. To trim away some threads there. Like I said, my bobbin jammed. Just pretty sad about it. But anyways, so there it is. Beautiful churn dash block. Now, to trim up the sides, to make it a perfect square, I'm going to show you what we'll do. We're going to take this, and we are going to take this will be a little hard to see because my fabric's yellow. But what we're going to do is we're going to take my 1/4 inch line, and we're going to line it up on those. So really, there's not much to trim off. See how there's my head in the way? I apologize if it was. There's really just crumbs, in the true sense of the word. See? And you would do that all the way around, but I really don't know that I have to. Oh, there's a little bit more on this side. I love it. And we'll do this side, which is almost perfect also. So you'll also actually want to line up over here, or one of your sides at least. You don't want to just go by those, because then you could end up having it crooked. So what you'll want to do is line up those two at the 1/4 inch, but then make sure this one over here is a straight line, and see how that one comes out perfect then. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you'll come back for the next one. I hope you'll consider subscribing. And I would like to thank all the people that have subscribed. I truly appreciate it. I hope you'll all consider subscribing. And if you have a request or any kind of question or anything, please just leave a comment. I will get back to you as soon as I can. So thank you. Have a good day.